Hello, Craig Birch here at Bar Sport in Cannock, where I have here the former WBA World Lightweight Champion of the World and his second time in Cannock, Ray Mancini. Ray, welcome back to Cannock. You must like it here. You keep coming back.
The people are lovely here. Lovely time. Last time I was here, and I was looking forward to coming to the Premier Suite here for my friend Scott Murray.
Yeah. You and Scott have built up quite a friendship. You were his favourite fighter and the rest of it, and you know, you built up quite a friendship. Do you talk a lot? Have you talked a lot in the 2 years that have passed?
We talk through the year, 4 or 5 times a year, maybe every couple of months. And I always try to keep up what's going on at Bar Sport here at the Premier Suite. And I was here 2 years ago, as I said, and I asked to come back last year. I said, can I come back? And he said, no, we get away.
Yeah.
I'm teasing. He says,
you can come around here for a drink whenever you want, I suppose.
You can come anytime. He said, but, we're going to have you back again. So here I am this year. Yeah. And again, I met so many people last time that I've seen, again, renewing friendships. And the people, like I said, lovely people here in Cannock.
Yeah, this is a different show tonight, though, isn't it? Because it's not just yourself. I mean, yourself, a great speaker as always. Ken Buchanan here as well, former undisputed lightweight champion in your division of lightweight as well.
He was great. Ken Buchanan was a gentleman I used to read about. When Scott told me they had an opportunity to get Ken Buchanan, I said, oh, please do that. I want to meet him so bad. I consider myself a boxing historian. I remember when Ken Buchanan beat Ismael Laguna for the lightweight championship. Yeah. I remember when he beat Ruben Navarro, who was a top lightweight at the time, on his way to the title. It was probably, and I think this is probably true, probably the UK's greatest champion. Yeah. I don't know anybody. Maybe Joe Calzaghe is up there with him, but you have to talk about the era of 15 rounds. We fought in the era of 15 rounds. The
greatest undisputed British champion over 15 rounds is certainly going to be.
And he was undisputed lightweight champ when he beat Ismael Laguna. Yeah. So being undisputed champion is pretty special nowadays.
Of course. You said off camera a little bit earlier when we were just chatting away, you'd seen a boxing magazine when you were probably in your prime as well, where it's any fighter, any era, same division, and I believe it pitted you against Ken Buchanan, and Ken beat you, didn't it?
There was a fight. They do dream fights, and they had me fighting Ken Buchanan. And I said, oh my God. And then, of course, they had to beat me. And I was like, oh man. But, I was honored because it's I laughed because he was such a great fighter. I was honored when they even considered putting us in the ring together. Yeah. But, as my father would say, all you can do is put two guys together and see what happens. Yeah. Since it can't happen, why are we talking about it? But,
of course.
That's what.
Well, someone did though, didn't they?
That's what dream fights.
They made a Rocky film out of that. As well,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. So obviously, I'm just going to go through the list of things. I've interviewed you extensively. I've written about you extensively. So I'm just going to go through a few things that I've wondered. Just a little gaps. I think you can never talk about everything that's happened in one life. But I will ask first about Alexis Arguello and that fight and so on. I read through my notes. They said you were crazy to take the fight, but you wanted to test yourself against the best.
First of all, I beat the number 6 contender in the world. I just beat the number 3 contender in the world, Jose Luis Ramirez, who had fought, before he fought me, he fought Alexis in a 10-round non-title fight and dropped Alexis twice. He beat Alexis, but they fought in Miami, and Alexis was, a hometown guy, so they gave Alexis the fight. But Jose Luis Ramirez beat him. So I fought him. I beat him decisively over 12 rounds. And so the opportunity to fight Alexis was there. I tell people, I don't understand what people don't get. I wanted to be world champion. To be the best, you want to fight the best. People say, oh, you're too young. How do you know? If it's a 12-round fight, I win the world title. I was beating him after 12. That's why the 2 champions this is 15-round fights.
Yes.
And his experience took over in 14th round. He stopped me. Yeah. And but from that experience I gained from that fight, I knew I'd be world champion after that. Yeah. So, to say I didn't belong in it or I was too soon, no. I was winning the fight for 3/4 of the fight. But it's the true championship distance is the 15 rounds. So, I'm sure Ken will tell you. Ken was probably beating Duran during that time. When Duran, hit him with a low blow in the 13th round, Ken went down and he couldn't recover. Yeah. So, I don't know, but if it was 12 rounds, maybe if it's at 12, Ken maybe win the decision. Who knows?
Of course, I think there was an incident towards when you were really coming under the cosh a little bit. Your manager tried to get in the ring, the trainer stopped him. What was said between them two afterwards? That's a very good question, isn't it? So, yeah, why did the manager try and get you out of there? Was he fear for your safety? Did the trainer know you was okay? I suppose your trainer knows you better than anyone, isn't it? So.
Yeah, I mean, I think people were concerned for my safety, but there's nothing, at that time, they wanted to concern. People are going to be concerned for you, but fighters are smart enough not to get involved in the melee. They stay away.
Of course. Obviously, your dad was there at ringside last night.
Yeah.
Your dad was could have been
world champion.
In the world of Jake LaMotta, could have been a contender himself.
He would have been world champion if he'd have got up to him. My father signed to fight for the world title in February of 1944, and he got drafted in January of 1942, and. He wanted to defend his country. He just wanted the opportunity to fight for the title. And and they said, we don't want your money. He said, I'll give all my money to the Army Relief Fund that I make from the title fight. He said, we don't want your money, we want you. And so consequently, he never got an opportunity to fight for the title.
Yeah.
And he was shot up in the Battle of Metz, which other than the Battle of the Bulge, was the most destructive war in the European theater of operation. So, and actually he was here in London, in England, Harrogate.
Yeah, Harrogate in Yorkshire.
Harrogate. That's where he was in the hospital. He was in the hospital here for almost a year.
Goodness me.
And then, they took good care of him. Thank you. And but he never got the shot for the title. So I tell people, when they offered me to Alexis Arguello, like I said, I beat the number 6 contender. I beat the number 3 contender. Where am I supposed to go? To be the best, you want to fight the best. And what are you gonna say? No, I don't want the title shot. How could you say that? How could you be a fighter and say that? So, and I always tell people, ask my father how many shots you get, how many opportunities you get.
Yeah.
You only get that one.
Of course. Did he always put pressure on you to become a boxer?
Oh, no. On the contrary, my father was the perfect fight father. My father never wanted me to be a fighter. My father wanted me to pursue my education. I had academic as well as athletic scholarship to go to college, Xavier University at Cincinnati. I had a professional baseball offer from the Toronto Blue Jays for baseball. I had other opportunities. My father encouraged me to get my education and pursue those other opportunities. But I said, no, I want to be a fighter. I want to be a world champion for you. So what's he going to say? You know what I mean?
Of course.
So no, my father never wanted me to fight. On the contrary, he was supporting me. He was at all my amateur fights, but he understands. He told me when I sat down with him before I turned pro, he said, Raymond, I want to explain to you, it's a lonely life. It's a painful life. You give up your family life, your social life. But he says, I said, Dad, this is what I want to do. So.
Of course. Alexis as well, that was a hard night. I think your mum sort of jumped in the ring, feared for your safety as mums do and so on. Was that really hard to take, not just being stopped, but having your family there to see that?
Yeah, well, it was. Of course it was. And I was so close, and it was heartbroken that I didn't get the chance to win the title that night. But they've always been supportive of me, and they knew I'd come back. So but that night it was tough. Yes.
Did you make a promise to your dad that night that I will avenge this and I'll do what I said I was going to do?
I promised him when I was a little boy. I promised him when I started my pro career, and I did. Yes, I promised him. Sometime later, I don't know if it was that night. I don't think it was that night. But sometime later, I would get the title for him.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, it wasn't too much longer later. A couple fights later, that I was able to do that.
Of course. Arturo Frias. We'll move on to that. The best round of boxing ever at the time, wasn't it?
I appreciate that. But it was considered it was a round of the year.
He hurt you as well, didn't he?
Oh yeah. First, early on, he caught me with a good left hook. He stunned me, but think when you're hurt, your instincts take over, and one of two things: either you cover up or you fire back. Yeah. And I chose to fire back. And I was able to keep throwing punches, and then I caught him. And I was able to drop him and, win the title.
It was a proper gunslinging contest, though, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
It's
just fortunate.
Your first world title fight, and you had no time to settle whatsoever, did you?
Right, no. So it was a wonderful time. It was great for the city of Youngstown, my hometown. I was able to accomplish my lifelong dream at a young age. And it was just a good time in my life at that point.
Of course. Obviously, to win the world title, would you have preferred maybe a few rounds to maybe fill your way into there? Or would you have had it the way you had it?
Hey, I get paid the same. 1 round or 15, I get paid the same. So get him in and get him out as fast as possible.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I can't argue with that at all. Move on to another couple of things now before I ask the last question, and obviously we'll be looking in a somber mood about that and so on. Mr. Pink, why weren't you Mr. Pink in Reservoir Dogs?
Yeah, I wonder why myself, because I knocked it out of the park in my audition. I went back 3 times, and as an actor, when you go back the 3rd time, they already know what they want. They know what actor they want. They're looking, there's just certain things they're looking for, I guess. And but I knocked it out of the park, and they said, you did a great job. You
but you're Ray
Mancini.
Mancini.
But Quentin Tarantino said, but you're Ray Mancini. They'll take people right out of the film. They'll say, oh, that's Boom Boom Mancini. They won't think of you as Mr. Peak. And I said, why did you have me come back so many times? He said, well, I was waiting for you to fail. I said, so you came me back here to make it, to make me make a fool of myself? He said, well, no. I said, I just wanted to meet you. And he said, but I thought you'd fail after a while, but you didn't. You were great, but I can't give it to you. So that's at that point when I got forward and I pushed the table that he was sitting at and threatened to, punch out his liver and make him, pee blood for a month. And I said, and then I realized after I got that I was in a room full of people and they're all looking at me and he's scared and everyone's looking at me. So I realized, word gets around Hollywood very quickly that, people are loose cannons. So I realized at that moment, I caught myself. So I started walking away and I turned around and said, how was that for acting? And of course they, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. But I wasn't joking, I was angry. But I realized I had to do something to flip it, so.
Of course, that's a hell of a poker face as well.
Yeah.
Real shame that you that could have been the big actor.
Yeah, but
what did you make of Steve Buscemi in the part? That's good.
I worked with Steve in the movie. Steve's great, he's a wonderful actor, one of the best actors we have. I tell people, I would have been as good, different, but as good. I could have done, I would have knocked that out of the park myself, but he was great.
Okay, another question. The last person we had in Cannock was Vinnie Paz after Bleed for This had been done. Do you think that maybe one of those sort of big Hollywood movies should be made? I know you've had a TV movie made before.
Yeah.
Is now the time to maybe have a Ray Mancini story?
Vinny's a friend of mine. I'm happy for him. I'm glad he got a chance to get the story told. But you put it in the theaters, you limit the audience. That's a very inspirational story. To me, that should have been on HBO or Showtime. When you get a broader audience to see that story. The movie didn't do anything at the box office. It was in and out in a couple of weeks.
Broke even just about, didn't it? So.
Maybe, yeah, probably. But
a little bit better than break even. $660,000 to 600,000 outlaid from what I saw.
You have to understand there's what they call P&A, Prints and Advertising, which is several $1 million too.
Yeah, probably more than the film was worth.
Yeah, so that's why the movie did okay, but if it was an HBO Showtime movie, it would have done very well.
Okay.
Very well. And it's a very inspirational story. Why wouldn't you give it to a broader audience?
Of course. And last question as well. We've obviously got every respect for Duck Koo Kim, the man who sadly died after you two guys met in what was a hell of a war in 1982. We all know the story. Not that many people have seen the fight and so on, and goodness me, it was a war, wasn't it? I mean, it was one of them things that could always happen, or
Yeah. It was. Well,
because he hurt you as well. You could just have easily been badly hurt.
You just said it was a war. It was a brutal war. One of the roughest, toughest fights I had, and it was unfortunate. The outcome was unfortunate. But thank God I was able to get through it and move on, and I was able to continue my career.
Yeah. I mean, obviously your left eye, I believe, was swollen as a massive cut. Was that all through punches?
Oh yeah, of course. It was just, we were banging heads, elbows, punches. It was all of it. But that's part of the deal. When you have a rough, tough fight like that, so that's what's going to happen.
39 punches, I think, could answered at one stage. Do you not sort of wonder why the referee didn't step in?
Well, because I missed them. A lot of them I was missing them, and I was catching them. I was hoping the referee would jump in. He was hoping, but it didn't happen. So, unfortunately, it would next round.
Of course, and obviously as well.
Okay.
All right, Scott, give it a rest. Okay, but obviously, respects to his family and so on. He's had a film made about him himself. I mean, he was a warrior who fell on his sword, wasn't he?
He was a great fighter and a great warrior and a hero for Korea. So should be very proud of him.
Okay, excellent, fantastic. Ray, thank you very much for your time.